MSNBC did some coverage of Neera Tanden. She's, of course, up for OMB director, and she's struggling to get enough votes to be confirmed. So, as I'm talking to you now, they actually just postponed the hearing that was supposed to happen, which is a sign that there may be a little bit of a white flag being waved by the Biden administration. So, here's MSNBC covering this a day or two ago. I want you to take note of their description of her.
So, I asked that same question about Tanden to someone close to the White House. Why double down on this? Why not? People are privately acknowledging they don't have a 50th vote somewhere. There was some talk about Senator Portman maybe getting behind her at some point. That does not appear to be happening. There's no indication that she has enough votes to get confirmed. So why not just pull the nomination? The person said to me, there's not really any upside for the White House in doing that at this point. Maybe it could move the process along by putting someone else up there, but it would just upset her supporters. It would upset progressives in the liberal wing of the party. And their case, too, was that for Tanden, who could also withdraw her name, this has given her a high profile. It has increased her popularity with liberals. She's sort of seen as this progressive fighter, and it's just getting her name out there and getting her some visibility. So their take was there wasn't really any upside in doing it at this point.
The dumbest commentary I've ever heard. I mean, that's just like what they're saying is fundamentally inaccurate. The idea that I jotted it down. You're going to upset her supporters and progressives. They say, the liberal wing of the party. They mean they mean the left base when they say the liberal wing. The liberal wing of the party is going to be upset at this. It's given her a high profile, they say, about the hearings. That's true. She's getting more coverage in media than she's ever gotten previously. But then they say she's viewed as a progressive fighter. The reason why this story is interesting and important is that it really shows you how little voices in corporate media really know. Like, most of the people who watch secular talk or any of the left-wing media ecosystem, you guys are actually hyper-educated on politics. You're political junkies, and I don't even think you guys get the extent of your own deep knowledge on these topics. Like, you just probably like it and got obsessed with it, and so you just consume it as a matter of habit. But, you're very educated on these things, way more so than your average American. But more importantly, way more so than mainstream media voices who are supposed to be super educated on this stuff. They're supposed to know what they're talking about. They're supposed to be providing information and educating people about what's going on in the process and holding people accountable and all that stuff. And they fundamentally don't do any of that stuff well. And so it's a bunch of overpaid hacks who are out there, usually giving their opinion, not really giving information, and they botch something as simple as that. Like, anybody who follows this stuff remotely closely could tell you, the left hates Neera Tanden, despises Neera Tanden, because Neera Tanden spent an extended period of time making her life mission to torpedo Bernie Sanders' presidential campaign and smear his supporters 18 ways to Sunday. When you look at her record, it's not even close to a progressive record that would make her a progressive fighter. I mean, that's just totally disconnected from reality. She repeatedly advocated Social Security and Medicare cuts. Repeatedly. That alone is like strike one, you're out, you're not a progressive fighter. That's corporatism 101. She casually said we should bomb Libya, steal their oil, and use the proceeds to pay down the deficit. So hawkish, imperialistic, and a deficit hawk, all in one story. That one has everything. She punched Faz Shakir because Faz Shakir asked Hillary Clinton a question about her support of the Iraq War. She is swimming in corporate money. The Center for American Progress, the whole point of the Center for American Progress was to be a shadow government for when Hillary Clinton got elected. And she would just take everybody from CAP and bring him into the administration. And so that's why you had money from the UAE and Saudi Arabia and Israel and a variety of multinational corporations pouring into Cap because they were the bribes that were paid in anticipation of a Hillary Clinton presidency. And she plays ball, man. She plays ball. The best example of that is what happened with Mike Bloomberg, where Mike Bloomberg has given a tremendous amount of money to Cap over the years. And Cap axed a report that went after Michael Bloomberg and talked about his anti-Muslim discrimination when he was mayor in New York City. So, I mean, there's endless stories with, a truckload of details about how she's a corporate warmonger, and all that's just not brought up. It's just asserted that Neera Tanden is a star of the left, and she has a high profile, and she's viewed as a progressive fighter. Listen, 90% of the left that I know and that I see, it can't wait to see her get slapped down. And actually, it was the first time maybe ever any of us have given Joe Manchin credit. Now, admittedly, Manchin is not voting her down for the right reasons. His reason has to do with, Twitter decorum, which is stupid. I don't care about her mean tweets. But nonetheless, he ended up in the correct place. And so that's why I've given him tepid credit. Others have given him tepid credit on the left. And, but funny enough, their logic really only goes as deep sometimes as she's a woman in this position. The left has to support her because she's a woman. So they think that it's not about policy. It's all about identity. And they could just lean on that. And again, it just shows how deeply uneducated and unserious they are on these topics. And the most important takeaway is that exactly this mindset for this story, just apply it across the board because it's correct to do that. They don't know when they talk about the war in Afghanistan or the war in Iraq or money in politics. It doesn't matter. Whatever the issue is, assume this level of competency, which is to say non-existent. So it's terrible, man. It's terrible. There's a good case to be made that if people watch mainstream media, they're less educated than somebody who watches no news media. We know for sure that's the case with Fox because they've studied it. I don't know if they've done it with CNN and MSNBC, but I wouldn't be surprised if the results were similar. Because this is just, everything they're saying here is fundamentally untrue, and it's ridiculous, and it shows you how little they know.